It wasn't focused for me. But this year, I'm doing all the things that are going to help me become more sexually aware, more sexually present, more in my body. Because we all know that stress and anxiety, or maybe you don't know, but stress and anxiety are the biggest killers of our sex drive when we're really overwhelmed. And that was me last year, and I'm coming into this year being way more sexually present. So, what else? Former Catholic schoolgirl who was shamed about it. Thank you, that is no longer. Thanks, Emily. You know what's so interesting about shame and that like a lot of us grew up in environments where we felt that it wasn't okay to be sexual. Someone put this voice in our head that you can't be sexual, you can't go out and meet people, all these things. And I want to remind you that if that is still your message right now, if that's still something you're thinking about, that's still in your head, that actually is not your voice. You get to replace that voice and say, you know what? I am somebody who is sexual and deserving of pleasure. So just remember, you can always turn that script around. So you got to take time for yourself. People haven't had sex in a long time. Do you guys think there's a sex reception, you know? Okay, so someone said, yeah, the drive's gone, depression, all this stuff. Okay, so here's a question that came in that I will read. Hey, Emily, my friend mentioned you were taking questions, so I thought I'd shoot my shot. I was wondering if you could talk more about how to coach your partner, tell them what feels good without feeling frustrated or them getting defensive. I love my partner. It's from a female and she's 30. I love my partner. We've been together for over 5 years. Our sex life is decent, but often the only way I can orgasm is through manual clitoral stimulation done by me. So I tell my partner what to do and he's so willing and enthusiastic, but he doesn't get it quite right. And I think it's a me problem because I get impatient, frustrated, self-conscious, and perhaps didn't give him enough of a shot to get it right. But also it takes me out of it to tell him what to do. We've even tried showing each other what to do that led to improvements, but still didn't get across the finish line. I love him so much, thought I would want to have this dialogue with him. Okay, without making him discouraged and without me completely shutting down. Okay, in sum, she's a female, she's 30, she's with the guy for 5 years, and she loves him, they've been together, sex life is good, but when she the only way she can orgasm, and I'm gonna put some words in her mouth there, he's probably having sex with her, penetrative sex, his penis is going in his vagina, maybe he's going in her vagina, maybe he's going down on her, and she just can't have an orgasm, like no matter what. And so she's even like, okay, I can do it with my hands, which, by the way, great. Have an orgasm that way. Have an orgasm in any way you want to have an orgasm. But in our culture, we feel like if I'm having an orgasm and I'm with my partner, I should pass the baton to them. I should be like, this is your job tonight, not my job. And if I give myself an orgasm, you're probably going to feel bad about that. And I want that for you too. But as a woman, we know exactly how to give ourselves orgasms. So she's like, I want to try to explain to him what to do, but I don't want to make him feel bad. And it's so specific. And how do I explain it? And like, I've tried, he doesn't get it. Because like with women, it can be very, very specific. And it's hard to explain sometimes when you're like in this, like, you're like, okay, here's your vulva, right? Here's your external part of your vagina. And you're trying to explain to your partner, I'm just putting words in her mouth to show you. You're like, okay, I know when we're having sex, this is exactly what I want. And now he's trying, but like, how do you explain, like, I do this pressure thing where I place, because this is how it is for a lot of women. Pay attention. I have to hold this upper right part of my clitoris this way, and I need to breathe a certain way, and then I need this certain motion on my clitoris this way. And then 3 minutes in, I might need a finger inside of me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, there's all these different ways that you might need. And it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't own these parts and who's very driven to help you. And so I would say for this, I understand the pain. It's hard to explain what you want. And it's hard for penises too. If you have a penis, sometimes you're like I need it to be a little bit more like tighter or faster or wetter. And it's like, oh, I'm in the moment. I wanted just to get it done. This was my time to have an orgasm. All that said, what I love about this question is that I'm sure he wants to help, and it says he's trying to do it, but she's so protective that it's going to make him discouraged, and it's going to make him frustrated, and she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. And so this is the main challenge that people have around their sexual intelligence. This is when we're talking about collaboration. They're like, I don't know how to ask my partner what I want because I am so afraid they're going to get discouraged. They're going to get upset. I'm going to bruise their ego. And so I'm just going to kind of try and show them what I need, but then I'm just going to hope they figure it out. And I'm still worried while I'm showing what I need. I'm still worried they're like, I can't believe, I don't know how to do it. So I just want to paint the picture of why a lot of us are having like disappointing, non-pleasurable, or non-existent sex. It's because of this. It's because we literally don't know how to say to our partner, can we just have a moment and learn each other's bodies and just talk about it casually? Like, here's how I want to be touched, and maybe do a little more to the left, to the right. So once we get past the point that your partner wants to be a great lover to you and they want to please you because your partner is being responsive to them, then you have to figure out how to do it. Now, you can do it in the moment if it's something very specific, like this is the kind of touch I need. But what it sounds to me like our female friend here who's 30 is that it's important for her to have a conversation with her partner outside the bedroom first. And what she says is, I freaking love how our sex, like name something she loves about her sex life lately. I love how hot it's been. I love the way you were kissing my neck, or I love the way you did that position. And I also love that you're like willing for me to show you what feels good to me. And I know you're trying, but I have these moments when I'm showing you what I want where I feel like I'm gonna like upset you or I'm gonna make you feel discouraged. But I want you to know that this is new for me. I've never actually explained to anybody what I needed, how to feel good, because most people haven't, okay? It's not like all your other lovers just kind of came in and knew what to do. So I'd say most of y'all probably haven't had these conversations that are that specific, like naming the pain, which is like, I was nervous to tell you, I have shame that I don't know. I don't want to upset you, right? So you're getting all the emotional shame part out of the way. So now they know, your partner's like, babe, no, of course, I want to know how to touch you in all the places. I want to be a great lover to you. I want you to show me what you need to feel good. And you're like, okay, good, I'm glad. And then next time you're like together and you're hooking up, then you know they're down. They're like, show me what you need. And then you can literally be like, it's right here, it's right there. Let's grab the lube, use your finger. Because you're in it together and you've both made this agreement that you're both there to achieve the same goal, which is you have more pleasure, you both have more pleasure, and communicate better. So thank you for all the roses. I was on a little collaboration roll here, but thank you all. I love it. Yeah, okay, there's a whole thing going on. Yeah. People are giving some tips. You love the pillow. Oh, Drew was like, the pillow's too much. Drew, the pillow is like, you. Not only that, Drew, I'm sending you a pillow, because this is what we got to understand. This is where the magic's at. Now, I also have a penis. I don't have a penis pillow. I wish I did. I've been trying to find a penis pillow. I just can't find one I like. But I have a penis something, a penis, like, oh, it's over there, penis dildo. Anyway, I'm not gonna bring that up right now. The point is, this is pretty, vulva. Okay, so, someone else likes cunnilingus, helps you warm up. Okay, so I hope that helped her. I hope that helped. What do you guys think about that? Can you all communicate like that? I love your coat. I love my coat too. It's super cozy, warm. And someone said, you were totally right. Most women I've been with almost get upset when I ask. Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. Thank you. So he's saying that most women he's been with get upset when he asks. I'm wondering if when you ask for what they want or you ask for what you need. It's probably either way. But maybe either way. Like, I think, okay, so full disclosure, when I was less sexually intelligent, less sexually aware, if my partner ever asked me what I wanted sexually, I even though I wasn't like totally turned on and into what they were doing, do you know what I would do? I'd be like, oh, it's great. It's so hot. It's don't stop. It's everything you're doing is amazing. Even if it wasn't, and it wasn't because I was a liar. I wasn't trying to be a liar. It was because I literally didn't know what else to do. I'm like, I've never even explored to know what to tell you differently. I wish I could say, this is okay, but can we try this? I didn't even know. So and if a partner kept asking me, I might have gotten frustrated or been like, I don't know, you figure it out. But maybe you're also saying that, yeah, he said what they want. Most people are not communicating in the bedroom. That's true. I am teaching you. Someone says you're teaching you. I am teaching you all. The thing that is the biggest challenge in your sex life right now, the biggest top challenge, is that you literally haven't been taught how to communicate about your sex life and your relationship and in your relationship, to be honest. Relational skills are not easy. But you likely, especially when it comes to sex, which is where I'm focusing on, you haven't been told. And when it comes up or you think about doing it, you might even get anxiety. You might even get panic. You might even get that, like your heart might be racing or like fear. Or you might freeze. You might actually have a trauma response in your body because you're like, talking about it is so hard. It's like the last thing I want to do. So, yeah. So I think that's it. So we're going to learn to talk about it. If anybody has something specific that they want to add to any of these chats that they've been wanting from a partner, it doesn't even have to be sexually. It could be anything. Then you can put it in here. And so we got, someone said, how do I open up a conversation with my husband about having an open relationship? Okay, well, listen, that is a great question. And it's a common question. But how do you bring up, okay, let's just start with this. If you're in a relationship, how do you actually bring up what kind of relationship structure you want? Now, we're talking about becoming more sexually intelligent in 2026. One of my goals is to be more clear and intentional and specific with my partner, whoever I'm dating, we shall see. And being really clear, like, this is the kind of relationship structure I want. This is what's good for me now. This is what isn't. Like, even looking back a few years ago, even though I've been teaching this for 20 years, I always have to learn too. I'm always learning how to be clearer. So if you're in an open relationship and you're like in a marriage, that's a relationship structure right now to say to your partner, right? So I'm just basically was bringing that to, even if you're dating, you can be like, what do I want? Do I want to be committed? Do I want to see you once a week? Are we sleeping with other people? But in a marriage, now listen, it's really hard. It's almost like marketing in a way. Like, you really can't go to your partner and be like, hey, I think we should have a threesome, or I think we should open up our relationship like that. Because you know what they immediately think is you want to have sex with my best friend, or the sex that we're having is terrible and you don't want to be with anymore. Like, we make all these things up around it. So the first thing before you jump to open relationship in a marriage is to open up other conversations around it that are leading the path towards open relationships. So it's just next time you guys are at dinner or you're at a space you could have these conversations, you talk about, what is our sex life like? Okay, listen, I charge everybody at the beginning of every single year to put together their sexual intention. So you could say, I heard Sex with Emily talking about this. And she said that couples that she's worked with over 20 years, when they really sat down and got clear on their intentions for the new year and their relationship intimately, that it improved their relationship tenfold. They were having the kind of sex they want, the kind of relationship they want. So I would really just open up with your wife and be like, how's it going for you? What would we like to see more in the new year? And then you start the conversation. You know, maybe she wants more adventurous sex, or maybe she wants, you know, has some fantasies. You can say, are there any fantasies we haven't just explored? Is there anything you've been wanting? And then you'll know how the conversation's going, and maybe not in the first one, you're not like, and I think we should open up. But it's an iterative process, right? Because it's also actually hearing what your partner wants. And so much of this is like becoming a good listener, actually hearing what our partner is saying without feeling attacked and without feeling shame. And we all know with sex, it's a lot harder to do. So I would just start with some baby step conversations and then see if she's open to it. Bring up a friend. Hey, what do you think about Mark and Sarah? I heard that they were open. What do you think about that? What do you think about people being in an open relationship? You know, or maybe you guys have close friends, or you're like, yeah, I've been hearing about that lately. And sometimes it makes me think what that would be like. Have you thought about that? You know, like have a conversation about it, right? So then we've got, people think open means it's over. And I hear you. Open relationships, I feel like I got to say this every time. I am not telling y'all to be open at all. But for some people, it can work. People who explore really good boundaries, and people who know how to communicate well, and people who, you know, understand their own desires and their own arousals, and they know what would turn them on and off. And there's a lot more things to cover. You don't just like decide one day you're going to open up a relationship, but certainly not for everybody. And there's many people it works for, many people it doesn't. Okay. Then we've got, okay, I'll get to that. Okay. So this is from Anonymous, but I started seeing a guy and I'm not feeling great after we have sex. What's the best way to start a conversation with him about it? Oh, I wish I had more information about this. If you're not feeling great with someone after you have sex, this is a communication challenge, right? I'm wondering what that means. Does it mean that you're not necessarily getting your pleasure? Does it mean that you're feeling like they're not really respecting you? Do you have pain? Like, what does it mean to not feel great after sex? So get really specific on that. And to have felt great, what would have to have happened? What would you have liked that would have made it better? And so maybe you lead from there and you say, you know what? Next time we're having, I really would think it would be really fun next time to explore ABC. So maybe just start to think about, listen, we are all in charge of our own sex lives. We get to design our sex life. We get to communicate about our sex life. We get to explore, we're the only architects of our sex life, if you will. We get to explain what we want and our desires and our fantasies. We just have to know that, we're not going to let other people decide for us. So, yeah. Start a conversation with him about what you do want. That will help. Okay. Then we've got, hi, question. If he can orgasm in any position and I can only orgasm in a few positions, shouldn't we only do my favorites, or is that selfish? So she's with a guy. He can orgasm all which ways, which we know. Penises have a lot easier time having orgasm. It's just the way it is. You just do. You're just lucky. And it's not hard for us. I do not think that that is selfish at all to prioritize the areas where you're going to have the most pleasure. Now, when you're having sex with someone, it doesn't have to be so linear. Maybe you're switching up positions and they do a certain thing, and then you definitely at the end or whenever you're coming to the point where you want to orgasm, perfectly fine to move into the position where you know it feels good for you. Now, I don't know the person you're sleeping with, but we can ask some of the men out here, if you're with a woman and you know that she knows how to orgasm in just a few positions, how do you feel about her, how do you feel about her taking these positions? How do you feel about her, choosing those positions? How do you feel about her only prioritizing those positions? So, right? what do you think about that? Okay. All right. Where did that question? So, okay, someone asked about sex education in kids, which that literally is what I think should become my whole, that's, if I could just spend my life talking to parents about how to talk to their kids about sex. It says, I'm not sure if this has been asked. My wife and I want to ask you if you have tips for non-cringe ways of bringing up the birds and the bees with our kids 12 and 10 years old. I have done some podcasts on this subject. If you go to talking to your kids about sex and you search sex with Emily, it'll come up. But it's a much bigger, broader topic that is so important. But I think the first thing is you gotta get through it's a one-time conversation. And I think you could sit down with them together and just say, we are going to start having, we're excited to have open conversations with you about how your bodies are changing and intimacy and sex and all the things. And we're going to have these conversations with you and it's going to be ongoing. Do you have any questions? Here's some things that have come up. Here's some things you should know. I mean, maybe you could talk to the kids separately. I mean, parents like to do this together. You could pick how comfortable it feels in your house and with their age differences. I don't know your relationship with your kids, but it's really just letting them know that you are open to it. And you could even say, my parents didn't talk to me about it, and so this is also new for us. But we know that when kids don't have accurate information, it ends up, not serving them. So together, we're going to answer questions that are commensurate with your age. So at those ages, 10 and 12, they're going through puberty, their bodies are changing. So there's going to be questions aligned with that. So I could do a whole show on that. And if there's enough people interested or you let me know, I can send that to you. We'll do that soon. I just wanted to nod to that one because I think it's so, so important. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So any other questions here? Yeah. You guys are funny. There's more to sex than you realize. I get it. Thank you all. Someone said no volume, but I don't know if that's at on Instagram. I'm new to this. What's it all about? We are talking about how to become more sexually intelligent and focused in the new year. How to really work on how we want to show up sexually in the new year, how we want to prioritize our relationships, how we want to have, better communication with our partners, how we want to learn to ask for what we want, how we want to move through resentment, which is going to also kill our libido. How do we do that? How are we going to do that this year? So, yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about, and I'm answering your questions. If you guys answer me something that's going to grab my attention here, I got you. Okay. Someone said, I've never been able to have an orgasm with a man without using a vibrator. I have great sex with my husband and feel safe and am super attracted to him, but I cannot have an orgasm even on my own. There's really nothing wrong with having sex, only being able to have an orgasm with a vibrator. It's really, really common. The majority of women are going to come from a finger or mouth or toys. Adding in some lube really helps. And so I really think that's okay. Also, if you'd like to start to practice different ways of touching yourself, you could start at a really strong embodiment practice, which is one of our first pillars of becoming sexually intelligent. You can say, you know what? I'd like to learn to feel more sensations in my body, to become more aware of my sensations in my body, of what it feels like to be touched and to go slow and to breathe without distraction. And so maybe with your partner, you could set an intention this year that you're gonna really work on receiving touch, and maybe it's their mouth or their fingers, and you're like, I'm just gonna really go how far I can go without using a vibrator, and seeing if I could sort of play with a bunch of different nerve endings, because we have so many erogenous zones, and a lot of times we always use a vibrator because we know that we can hit it and quit it. And we know exactly what works and exactly where to go and where to move the thing. And it's just so specific and it's easy and we're in and out. But the practice of becoming more, feeling more pleasure in our body is a much more intentional, slower, embodied, noticing, getting out of our heads practice. So there's nothing to worry about if you only orgasm with a vibrator. That's cool. But also if you want to, because there's lots of ways to orgasm. You can orgasm with your nipples. You can orgasm, our bodies are covered in nerve endings. And so really this is more of a becoming, more present and more embodied. Thank you all. Emily is the best podcast. He watches it on YouTube. Thank you. You guys, I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm everywhere. But my podcasts are all on YouTube and all the places where you listen to podcasts. Someone says, I'm in my 40s. Why is it harder to orgasm? I used to orgasm very easily, and now it's very few times. It gets frustrating. Well, I want to remind you of these questions around orgasm, which is why this year, let's talk about our sexual intelligence. So, you can't orgasm. Your orgasm has changed. And that's really common, you guys. I want you to know that our orgasms change from decade to decade, sometimes month to month. And so if I got 5 questions from women in their 40s right now who said that they couldn't have orgasms, they used to have better orgasms, what did you say? It's harder to orgasm. There'd be different paths. I'd have to look at, well, are you in a relationship where you feel safe with? So let's go through being sexual. Let's answer this question sexually intelligently so we're getting it, right? I would have to say to you, okay, when you're having sex, do you feel in your body? Do you feel present? Do you feel like you are not in your head, but you're feeling the sensations and you're allowing arousal to build through your body and breathe into it? Are you feeling, present with that? Or how's your health? Is there anything that's changed recently? It might not be about your age. It might be that you went on an antidepressant or you started taking the birth control pill. Or maybe you stopped moving your body as much, so you've less blood flow, so there's less arousal available to you. That's another way of looking at our health. Another thing is like collaboration. Are you with a partner that you can talk to about what make it easier for you to orgasm? Or maybe it's harder for you to orgasm now. Maybe you're married and it's harder for you. Can you collaborate with your partner and say, you know what? It's harder for me to orgasm in this go-to position that I used to always do. Can you help me, can we troubleshoot a little bit together? That sounds so not sexy, but you'd say it's sexier. Can we, let's work on how we can start to find another way to orgasm or different ways to feel good. So these are all the ways we kind of can move through these questions. And then self-acceptance is one. Do you accept your body right now? How do you feel in your body? Do you feel okay? How are you being naked? There's a lot. So let's do that. Okay, great. We got that. So then, any questions around that? Someone says you're probably not turned on by your man, and I'm going to address that. That is a dude answer. He's not cutting it. He's not hot. That is how you're thinking. But for her, she's like, I'm having a hard time orgasming. And usually it's not because our partner is turning us off, unless they've done something and we resent them. But it's not like, and I don't want to speak for every person, but usually instead of saying she's not into her boyfriend or her husband, I just named a bunch of things that had nothing to do with her partner. Okay? Nothing I said there had to do at all with maybe your partner sucks and you should dump him. Okay? Just want to let that land. Yeah. I'm so glad you all liked. Okay, she says that. She's like, thank you. It's not that I'm not into him. Right. She's not into him. It's not that she's not into him. She clearly is into him, because if she wasn't into him, she wouldn't care if she wasn't orgasming. She'd be like, bye. We know that. Women, we know. We know when to fold them. We know when to get out. We know when to stay. But I love looking at the different perspectives, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can call in with this number. please do call in with that number if you'd like. We've got phones here. We got the ways for you to call. Do that. Nice to see you again. Okay, let's see. We got this. Let's see this. Why do I get so turned off and defensive when my partner is insecure, constantly needs reassurance? Why do I get so turned off and defensive when my partner is insecure and constantly needs reassurance? Well, probably because something about the way your partner asking for your partner wants to feel safe with you. They're just saying, hey, I need to feel like you adore me and you love me and you think I'm sexy. I don't know if this is a man or I'm just the language I'm using. Basically, your partner's saying, I need the reassurance because you do things that don't make me feel safe. Probably not on purpose, but you breadcrumb, or you're in or you're out, or I caught that you cheated texting with that girl a few months ago, or like there's a way your partner doesn't feel safe, and that's annoying to you. And I'm not saying you do anything wrong either, but maybe she's just trying to say, or he's trying to say, there's something that's not making me feel safe, and that's making you annoyed because it means that I actually have to go, what does my partner need to feel safe and held and loved and supported by me? And since they're not saying that to you, they're not saying I need to feel safe, or I just want to feel loved, or this is exactly what I need. They're just like, tell me you're not going to leave me. Tell me that you love me. Tell me I'm the one. Tell me I'm the most beautiful. Tell me. And that can get annoying after a while. But it's because none of us have the actual language required to communicate our needs relationally, emotionally, spiritually, because we're coming from like fear a lot, right? So, yeah, that's a bullshit answer. I don't understand the question. Yeah, well, I think you didn't understand the answer. Okay. Here we go. So, what else do you guys got here? There's a lot. Emily, I love your show. Wait. I just don't have the right answer to this one right now, so I'm not going to answer this. Forget it. But I'll come back to that one. Okay, Emily, I'm female, 32. I'd love to say anonymous, but I'm a 32-year-old pregnant woman in my third trimester. I recently woke up because I orgasmed in my sleep, and I'm spiraling because I'm scared it'll put me into early labor. I know that's crazy, I guess, but I'd love your perspective. The human body's so crazy. Well, congratulations on your pregnancy, on your baby and the whole thing. You know, it's really common for women to have a higher sex drive in their third trimester. So that tracks. So I really wouldn't worry about it, but of course I would call your doctor and just say, you know, but this is actually, a lot of times they encourage women to have more sex and more orgasms, and it helps to move your pelvic floor. So I would say, unless you're like at a risk or on bed rest or something's going on, I know that you're fine. I don't want you to go into super early labor, but I'd like you to talk to your doctor about it. But I think that happens a lot to women. I don't even want to say just a third trimester, but often in third trimester. They're feeling more, you know. It's actually all trimesters. It's different for everybody. But anyway, talk to your doctor, but I think you're cool. And I'm glad you woke up and had a great orgasm. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I want to go back to this. He's saying, yeah. I don't know if I wanted to do, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, someone said I made my biggest breakthroughs by working on how I say things, not what I say. So true, guys. We got to find the right time, the right place, the how, like how are we saying things, timing, turf, and tone. Sometimes our tone just really pisses people off and they can't hear you, you know. Yeah. Okay. Yep. How often am I live? I'm live like twice a week. Definitely on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is what we're thinking. I'm going to come live with y'all. But if you want to know, you can, I guess, just check in here, subscribe to our mailing list, go to my website, sexwithemily.com. We can let you know. I will have a live talking about different sex toys. I've done a lot of those, but I haven't done one in a while. Would you guys like that? I could just show my toys. I can do that. Someone said, Emily, she's a female, 29. I love your show. Do you have any good cleanup strategies after sex for women besides holding a t-shirt or my boyfriend's boxers to the area and running and hobbling to the bathroom? Yes, I do. I would ask your partner, or you could do this as well. For your partner would be, what would be a lovely thing to do is your partner to go into the bathroom and to grab a washcloth and to turn the water on warm water, and get the washcloth like really warm and kind of squeeze it off so it feels like a warm towel that you get in the spa. And then they come over and they bring that to you and they help you wipe off. And then you get up and go to the bathroom. That's my recommendation. Isn't that a loving thing to do? Your partner's like, I got this. I'm going to go clean up because this is from me. I essentially, made this is my, I don't want to say mess because it's not a mess, or this is my responsibility, right? This is something that came out of my body and I've now left it here on your body, but essentially it came out of my body, so I'm going to clean it up. I do think that, yeah. What do you think? Does your partner do that? I hope that all people do that. Someone just said, aren't all guys doing that? I sure hope so. Aren't all women doing that? I sure hope so. But I love it when they do. Do I think that most people understand what sexual intelligence really is? No, and that's why I'm talking to y'all about it a lot, because I think we often think when we think about sex in the new year, sex in a year, set sex goals, we think it's about like one thing, having more sex, having better sex. I should buy these toys or these lubes or these things, but being sexually intelligent, we have a call, is really about all the things I'm talking about here on this live. I guess we can take a call. All right. Hello. Thanks for calling. Hi.
You.
How are you? Thanks for calling. What's going on and how can I help you?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Tell me everything.
Excellent. Well, the thing is, I think I asked already in the previous podcast as well, and also in this podcast. But I noticed that because I have a pantyhose fetish, and I noticed that there's actually not really a lot of sexologists who give attention to that, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it and how to express myself with it.
With your pantyhose fetish, you're not sure how to. Yeah. Okay. Have we talked about? You're saying we talked about this before.
What to do with it because I in previous relationship I didn't express myself, and I found it difficult to find a like-minded lady friend to indulge that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you asked this because we have talked about this before. Like you're right. If you were watching last week or the other day, instead of thinking like it has to be like I have this fetish and I need to confess it. It's more like I have something that like reliably turns me on and I want to share it if it feels good to you, if it feels mutual, Because if you have a pantyhose fetish, it's usually about, and you can tell me a fetish, it's usually about like texture or like a visual, like a contrast or nostalgia or femininity or something about sensory regulation. And it's not weird, it's just information about how your desire works. And so I don't think it's something you got to bring up on the first date and not in the middle of the first time you have sex and not as like a surprise, but it's like after you've slept with somebody or after you're already comfort, where there's already comfort or there's already curiosity, or maybe it's a conversation with her about your turn-ons and your fantasies. And so, yeah, how does that land?
Yeah, because the thing is, in the other day, because I had a friend with benefits, and I find it a struggle to really express myself, because I'm not quite sure if it's normal or not, and
Yeah.
yeah, because I am like in a phase that because I'm like in my 40s, and I'm like really discovering myself again, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
good.
yeah. Yeah, because I don't really want to have any boundaries and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. So I'm really, like I said, in a struggle to what to do with it.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Well, first off, I'm so thrilled that in your 40s you're like, I'm gonna have this, like, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna find someone who's gonna meet me with my pleasure and my turn-ons, and I'm gonna learn to do it. So that's amazing, because it's so hard. No one tells us. It can be so challenging. So I think what works best for people is like casual and confident, even if you have to practice, or curious, even just like, there's something like you could do it this way. You could be like, there's something that really turns me on. I love the look and feel of pantyhose. I don't need it all the time. I want to share something that excites me. Or you can just say, there's something that I find really sexy and I want to know how it lands with you. Pantyhose really turn me on,
To interrupt you, but what you're basically saying, I don't have to feel weird about it. I don't have to feel upset about it, because
you don't.
It's quite normal, you say.
It's quite normal, and it's really common. It's a really common fantasy. Really common. In fact, we got asked this question the other night, and so I want to tell you there's nothing wrong with you. And once you realize that, like, you're just expressing
that's insurance.
Okay, you're good. You're good. You got this.
Yeah, but do you agree with me? Last question, because I know you're like in a big podcast. But do you agree with me that technologists and basically the internet don't really pay a lot of attention to it, more to food fetish and stuff like that, rather than
pantyhose? I think that they're all. I think we get a lot of pantyhose fetishes. We get a lot of foot fetishes. I think that fetishes and fantasies are deeply misunderstood. And no, people on the internet don't understand this stuff. But I've been talking about this for 20 years, and I've talked to millions of people in 20 years, and I can tell you that it's like the most common thing in the world. But also that to have the fantasy is really common. But the other thing that's even more common is that we have shame around it, and we're worried we're not normal, and we actually don't know how to express it to a partner. So that's...
Yeah, true. Because the thing is, because a lot of I spoke to like 2 or 3 psychologists because I live in the Netherlands, in Belgium and in the Netherlands. They direct me to VetLife, but I'm not. That's not the direction I want to go to. But do you have any advice how to meet like-minded people?
Yeah. Do I have an idea how to meet? Are you asking me that? You could go to FetLife, or you could go to what's the other one? Field. There are different apps where people are a little bit more open.
The connection was about to go. What did you say, sorry?
FetLife, FetLife, or Field. It's an app, FEELD. But thank you so much for your call. I really appreciate you. And you can check out, we've done so many podcasts on this too.
Thank you so much for your time.
Have a great night. I really appreciate you calling in and sharing and being so open.
With the podcast, and I really, really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Love when you guys call in, right? We got this. There we go. So I don't know, anyone else here have a fantasy or a fetish that you've never expressed before, and he's like, are we okay? Yeah, someone missed the fantasy. He's got like a pantyhose fantasy. That's really, really common. And then we feel bad. We don't just... Okay, this is all gonna come out as a podcast. So if you've missed part of this, you're gonna get it next time, right? You're gonna get it on when the podcast comes out. Yeah. Okay. So we covered that. What else you guys doing here? Yeah. Thank you all. I'm glad you like the podcast. I appreciate you all. I think we're all being supportive here, which I like. We have to be supportive. Yeah. Someone else had a good point. Like if they've got a fetish around pantyhose, or anyway, you just buy her a lot of different sexy pantyhose and things. But okay. All right. Yeah, someone said the shame around fantasies. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, Haley. She says, I'm 43 years old. I can't believe everyone still has a hard time having these conversations. You know? There's someone out there for you who likes the same things. I agree. Like, there will be someone out there that likes the same things you do. That is so true. Take a moment for that. Like, you will find your person. There is nothing wrong with you for having sexual desire, for having a fantasy, for having something you want. As long as it's legal, like you're not hurting anyone, you're honest and legal, like it's all okay. We're so worried about it. So, but yes, like what's getting in the way is there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of way we don't talk about it. So, you know, yeah, the shame around fetishes and fantasies makes me sad too. So that's why I'm here to talk to you all about it. Yeah. All right, all. This is great. What else? Any more questions want to come in? I think I can answer like one or two more. We got a few things in here about people saying that their partners, there's no spark. Partners are like, you know, there's no spark in the relationship. And yeah, my wife is fine having sex once a month. You know, yeah, I mean, this is where we're talking about becoming more, setting intentions for the new year. So if any of those things are happening in your relationship right now where you're feeling the spark is gone, we're not having a connection, my partner's okay with this, but I'm not okay with that, the first thing you have to do is truly just start to have the conversation with your partner where you're like, let's talk about how we want to prioritize things this year that make us feel good. What are we going to do this year together that's going to, you know, give us more connection and more intimacy? And how are we going to feel more connected in 2026? What can we do? Where can we go? When are the times that we have felt most sexually connected? When are the times that we have felt the most turned on and desired? And just start to like have questions and sort of troubleshoot together. Do this as a team. You know, your sex life is a collaboration, and you can agree that this year, to become more sexually intelligent, you can say, we're going to collaborate more. We're going to communicate more, you know? Someone said, why is masturbation such an important part of sexual intelligence? Because masturbation is so important to have a self-love practice, to have a solo sex practice, truly is the sexual relationship we have with ourselves. And it's how we can understand what makes us feel good, our bodies. We can give ourselves orgasm because we understand our bodies, but it's not even just about orgasm, it's about exploration. It's about touching ourselves without shame. And just because we're in a relationship with someone doesn't mean that we need to stop masturbating, but it's actually a healthy practice. Now, of course, we can go off on when it's not healthy and all the things, but overall, I encourage it, okay? I encourage it. Yeah. Someone said, but what if he won't communicate about it at all? So this is common too. My partner will not communicate about it. They're just like, nope, not talking about sex. Okay, so first I'm wondering, is there anywhere else they're not going to communicate? What else won't your partner talk about? Because you know, sometimes how we do one thing is how we do everything. Where else isn't your partner communicating with you? Is it only sex? Well, if it's only your sex life, I find that very interesting, isn't it? That your sex life is the area that they're not talking about. But the two of you are in it together. Like, can your partner actually opt out of talking about sex? It's not just an act. It's not just us rubbing our genitals together. It's not just something that we do and then we like roll over and watch Netflix, although it might be like that. but it's actually something that we are co-creating together. It's an intimate connection, right? So I don't understand it. You know, you gotta talk about sex. So if they won't talk about it, I'm like, to me, you can't opt out of our intimate life. You can't just say, I'm out, never talking about it again. Like, will you talk about where you go for dinner? Will you talk about where you're going on vacation? Will you talk about your finances? I'm just curious. Great. Yeah. So how do you build sexual intelligence when your nervous system is used to being on all the time? You know, I got to say that this was a big part of me last year. This year was really realizing that I didn't have access. I wasn't sexually turned on. I didn't want to have sex. I wasn't actually interested in it, even though this is my job. You know, sometimes you're, you know, no matter what career, just because it's my job doesn't mean I'm always like wanting sex all the time. I'm just like all you. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And I felt that I was in a total burnout last year. I was overwhelmed. I had too much going on with work. I was trying to break out of relationships that no longer served me, not romantically, but professionally. I was trying to create an environment where I felt safe, where I was actually speaking up for what I needed and what I wanted. And there was a lot of areas I needed to work on to calm my nerves. I needed to breathe more. I needed to be out in public more. I needed to do more things. And then I found this was all the way I became more sexually intelligent last year. I realized that my sex wasn't a priority last year. So I worked on calming my nervous system and doing all the things that I talked to you all about. And it helps me for my desire to come back online. That's how I did it. Yeah. So you said that this is the person who asked a question about talking about it. We're best friends in every way, but in a sexless marriage for years now. Really common to be in a sexless, another thing, just almost as common as pantyhose fetish. To be in a fantasy. So you've both agreed to be in sexless marriages for years now. Like, that's just what's happened. I'm not saying you like consciously were like, yes, sign me up on the dotted line. And I hear that you're best friends, but if it's not working for you being in a sexless marriage, then it has to be the conversations I was talking about what can we do to find ways to be intimate again and to connect and to look at everything that contributes to our sexual intelligence and our sex life, which is a lot of things, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health. There's a lot to look at. I love that you love this talk. I love this talk too, guys. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, my partner. Okay, all. I think we're good here. I think we all kind of learned to become a little bit more sexually turned on, aroused, intelligent, all the things this year. But remember, it's not just about one thing. For me, it was about calming my nervous system, getting back into my body, making sure that I get out of the house more, making sure that I'll fill you in more. But I hope this gave you all some ways to think about what would you like to see in your sex life this year? What intention would you like to set? Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's an act that you'd like to do, like something that you're going to do to take care of yourself. Maybe it's a conversation you want to have. Like what, if you looked at your 2027, a year from now, and you look back, that was my intimate life for 2026. What would you like to see in the next year? We can talk about that. Maybe you should all come next week with your answers to that, and we can figure out how to make it happen for you, because I know we can. Everything's possible. But it starts with setting the intention, being very specific, and feel it in your body, and then we're going to all have a much more sexually intelligent 2026. Thank you all for joining. Have a great night.